Hello, I'm Donna Bauer, the original note buyer, and I want to show you how to flip a seller-carryback note for quick cash. Without a doubt, the all-time fastest, easiest, safest way to make huge profits in real estate is to flip a note. And it can be a performing note or a non-performing note. When you flip a note, you can easily make $10,000 in 30 to 60 days. And the best thing of all is you can do it with no cash or credit of your own. This works for both performing and non-performing notes. But right now, I want to run through an example of how to flip a performing seller-carryback note. Before we get started, I want to make sure we're all on the same page with the terminology. A note is a promise to pay a debt. The note has the terms of the loan in it. I owe you this much money, I'll pay you this much per month or per year. My interest rate is this much. It includes the terms of the loan. The mortgage or deed of trust provides security or collateral for the lender. So if the borrower doesn't pay, it is the mortgage that allows the lender to take the property and recoup his money. So sometimes you hear people say, I buy notes. Other times you hear them say, I buy mortgages. The truth is that unless you want to invest in unsecured notes, which I do not recommend, okay? Unless you want to invest in unsecured notes, you would never buy a note without a mortgage or vice versa. So let's go on to an example. Let's say that we have Sam Seller and he owns his own house free and clear. And let's say it's worth $600,000. Now, I do want to mention that it doesn't matter whether it's worth $600,000 or $60,000. The principle that I'm going to show you will work on any size mortgage. But here's the secret. The larger the mortgage, the larger the profit. So let's say that Sam has a house, his own house, free and clear. It's worth $600,000. He's been trying to sell it without any luck. He gets it under contract only to find out a couple weeks later that the people can't get approved for a loan. So needless to say, he's very frustrated, and a good friend of his says, "Look, Sam, why don't you just put this on Craigslist and offer seller financing? I mean, really, what are you going to do with the money when you get it? Are you just going to stick it in a CD or the stock market?" And so Sam gets to thinking about that, and he goes home, he puts an ad on Craigslist, and immediately he gets a call from Bauer. He tells Bill all about the house. Bill immediately runs over, looks at the house, and he says, "Look, Sam, I love the house. I want this house. I can give you $150,000 down." And he says, "I'll pay you 10% interest, $4,000 a month, and I'll refinance and pay you in full within 10 years. Is that a good deal for Sam? Well, Sam was thrilled. So needless to say, they struck a deal, and Sam sells Bill the $600,000 house. In exchange, Bill gives Sam $150,000 in cash plus the $450,000 mortgage. So let's look at this. Was this a good deal for Sam? Well, first of all, Sam got a very quick sale of his house. He got an above market rate of return on his money. And he has tax benefits from an installment sale. And he's got a nice, safe investment. So yes, this was a great deal for Sam. Now let's say that 2 years go by and the $450,000 mortgage is paid down to just over $443,000. What if Sam gets tired of waiting for his money? I'd say he's pretty tired there. But seriously, things happen. People's lives change. They get married, they get divorced, they want to start a business, they want to go to school, they want to travel, they have medical issues, and for one reason or another, they decide that they don't want to wait any longer for their money. They need their money now. Well, let's say that Sam Let's say he has a great business opportunity and he needs $375,000 or he's going to miss out on an opportunity of a lifetime. Well, where's his $375,000? It's tied up in this note and mortgage. Well, it just so happens that Sam got a letter from Donna Dealer here. And this letter says, "Dear Sam, I understand that you're receiving payments on a mortgage, and I pay cash for mortgages. Give me a call, and I'll tell you how much cash I'll give you today for your mortgage." Well, if you were Sam, would you call me? In a heartbeat. So Sam calls me up. He tells me the whole scenario. It sounds like a great deal to me. So we strike a deal, and Sam sells me the remaining $443,000 balance that's owed on the mortgage. In exchange, I give Sam the $375,000 in cash that he's looking for. Now, do you see what happened there? Did I buy the house? No, Bill lives in the house. I bought the right to collect the remaining payments that are owed to Sam. Sam then takes the $375,000 and he goes off and does whatever he wants to and never has anything to do with this mortgage again. Now, does Bill's position change? No, nothing changes for Bill. The only thing that changes is that he's going to start sending his payments to me. But other than that, everything stays the same. So let's look at this. Was this a good deal for Sam? Originally, he got a down payment of $150,000. He has collected $96,000 over the last 24 months, and I just gave him $375,000 in cash. That works out to be $610,000. If you were Sam, would you be happy? Absolutely. He was only trying to sell the house for $600,000. And let me tell you this, it's not always about the money. What really drives these deals home, oftentimes, is the timing. When Sam Seller wants to cash out, you want to be in a position to give him cash. And it doesn't have to be your cash. It could be my cash. It could be another investor's cash. But whenever you can provide cash to Sam, guess what you're going to be putting in your own pocket? A nice lump sum of cash yourself. I'll show you in just a minute. But needless to say, this is a great deal for Sam to sell his note and mortgage to Donna Dealer. Okay, is this a good deal for me? I just bought a $443,000 asset for $375,000. So I built in $68,000 worth of profit right up front. So do you realize that if the very day that I buy this from Sam, if Bill were to pay off, whether he sells the house or whether he refinances, I don't just get my $375,000 investment back. I get the entire $443,000 that is owed on this note. So when you buy a discounted note, you build your profit in up front. It's not like buying a house and you're thinking, wow, I hope I don't have to tear that roof off, and oh, I hope I don't have to rip out all the plumbing, and I hope this carpet cleans up, and I hope I can sell it for this much money. That's not the way it works with notes. You build your profit in right up front. This works out that I'm going to be buying this at a 13.25% annual yield. So if I had my own money to invest in this note, I'd be making 13.25% return on my money. But wait a minute. Didn't I just tell you that Bill's position doesn't change? So how can I be making 13.25% if he's only paying 10%? I am making a higher yield on my money because I have less money invested. The day that I buy this from Sam, he has $443,000 of his money outstanding, and he's getting 10% interest on his money. But if I step in and I only have $375,000 of my money invested, but yet I'm collecting those same nice high payments, then I must be getting a higher what? A higher yield or return on my money. The two are inversely proportional. The less that you pay for a discounted mortgage, the higher your rate of return. You might want to jot that down. The less that you pay for a discounted mortgage, the higher your rate of return. So needless to say, when you buy a discounted mortgage, it's a real win-win. That's why I love to buy notes, because everybody is happy. But the big question is, how are you going to make big money without your own cash or credit? How can you make any money if you don't have $375,000 to invest in this deal? What you want to do is flip the note. And you're thinking, flip the note? Where am I going to get $375,000? From Irene Investor. Now, what I'm about to show you here is the most important part of how to flip a note. If you want to make money flipping notes, this is the secret. We already said that you have this under contract, and Sam has agreed to sell you this note for $375,000, and that works out to be a 13.25% yield. The secret to making money on flipping this note is to find an investor who wants a lower rate of return than what you're buying it at. So let's say that you are at your local RIA meeting, or you're at a note buying convention, and you're talking to Irene Investor, and she's been investing in real estate for years, and she's completely fed up, and she says, my gosh, if I could get an 11.5% rate of return, I would start doing notes right away. Well, is 11.5% less than 13.25%? It sure is. And so that means at 11.5%, Irene would pay $410,000 for this note. So should we sell this to her? You bet, because you're going to put $35,000 cash in your pocket. So let's take a look at this. Everybody thinks that note buying is some very sophisticated, far-out thing. It's actually very simple. Buy low, sell high, and whatever the difference is, that's your profit. You're going to get this under contract to buy it from Sam Seller for $375,000. Then you get it under contract to sell it to Irene Investor for $410,000. You do your due diligence, and 3 or 4 weeks later, you show up at the title company, or you can do it all by FedEx, and you make $35,000 profit on the transaction. And your total time invested in this is usually about 10 to 15 hours. How would you like to make $35,000 for 10 to 15 hours of work and never even have to deal with the physical property? And not use any of your own cash or your own credit. This is exactly how it's done. You're probably wondering, where did you get the money to give to Sam Seller? Well, from Irene Investor. There's 2 different ways that you can do this. The first way is with a simultaneous close. That's where you close 2 transactions at the same time. Then you use the proceeds from the second transaction to fund the first one. Let me show you what it looks like. Irene will wire her $410,000 into the title company. Your title agent sets up 2 closings. The first one is Sam selling the note to you for $375,000. The second closing is you selling the note to Irene for $410,000. Your title agent looks at this and says, oh my gosh, Donna's going to make $410,000 when she sells this to Irene. And lo and behold, $410,000 is already sitting in our escrow account. So if she knows I've got that money coming to me and she already has it in their account, is there any need for her to call me up and say, Donna, you need to wire the money? Heck no. What she does, she takes $375,000 of Irene's money and she uses that to close on the first leg of this transaction. So she gives the $375,000 to Sam, and now you own that note. Now she's going to do the second transaction, and you're going to sell that note, the note that you bought with Irene's money. You're going to turn around and sell it to Irene for $410,000, and that's how you make your $35,000 profit. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, Donna. You can't do simultaneous closes when you flip a house. You're absolutely right. But did I flip a house? Heck no. I didn't touch the deed to the property. I flipped the financing. And that's a totally different ballgame than flipping the property. Another way to do this is with an assignment of contract. Now maybe you've done an assignment of contract on a property. So let's say that you get this under contract with Sam, and he agrees to sell the note to you for $375,000. You turn around and you sell your position to Irene. She writes you a check for $35,000, and she steps into your shoes, and Sam sells Irene the note for $375,000. But if Irene is writing you a check for $35,000, what does she now know that you probably don't want her to know? Exactly. She knows how much money you've made. And it's a funny thing. I get thank you notes from my investors. They're thrilled that they've got this great rate of return unless they find out how much money I've made. Then all of a sudden they think they've left money on the table. So as a general rule of thumb, I always prefer to use the simultaneous close, because then neither Sam nor Irene know how much money you made on the deal. Now I've just showed you two different ways that you can make money with notes. If you have your own cash, you want to be Irene investor. You're going to buy and hold. You're using your own cash, and you're doing this to get a nice high yield on your money. On the other hand, if you don't have your own cash, then you want to be Donna dealer. You're going to flip the note. You're going to use other people's money, OPM, and you do this to make a lump sum of cash. Now, the interesting thing is that on any given day of the week, you can switch back and forth between Irene and Donna. Let's say you're investing your money, and then all of a sudden you've got everything invested, and here comes this great deal, but you don't have any cash to put into it. Well, why pass on a great deal? Instead, just flip that note to another investor, act as Donna dealer, and make a nice lump sum of cash. But the big thing that I want you to see here is, how do you become a passive investor? I mean, after all, isn't that your goal, to have mailbox money where you don't have to work for it, but you walk out to the mailbox and collect the check? If you don't have any of your own cash, you start out as Donna dealer, and you make $35,000 here, $10,000 here, $50,000 over here, and guess what? It isn't long before you have enough cash where you can be Irene investor. I'd like to tell you about Phil, who is from Fort Collins, Colorado, and he wins the biggest profit award, at least as far as I know. Phil, on his very first deal, made over $395,000 profit on one deal. Do you remember that I said the bigger the mortgage, the bigger the profit? Well, Phil found a commercial note that he was able to buy for $2 million. Now, he didn't have $2 million, but he found an investor who wanted to buy it. He sold that to the investor. He did the simultaneous close, and his profit was over $395,000. Can you imagine having that as the profit on your first deal? Would that change your life just a little bit? And do you see how you could turn around? You could invest that in a $600,000 note and have money coming in every month. Do you see why I get so excited about doing notes? Without a doubt, Phil is proof that flipping a note is the fastest, easiest, safest way to create huge profits in real estate.